Welcome back to Lime Rock Park, the bull ring in the Berkshires. My name is Tom Drewer, alongside me, Mike Anzaldi, and we're here for the final race of this weekend's Radical Cup round in Connecticut. Mike Anzaldi, you've seen some action over the weekend, some big moments, some big saves, and now it's time for a race with a pit stop, and we can finally see if, I guess, Luke Kendall or Sam McDougall could break through for a debut win.
Tom, good afternoon to you. Yeah, great to be at Lime Rock and talk about saves. If you go over to the Radical Cup Instagram page and see Chris Hoon's onboard of his spin up at West Bend, you will be well ready to take in this Radical Cup race number 3, because that was a proper moment for the gold class leader and ultimately our champion this year, Chris Hoon. We've had a couple of moments, but what a fun weekend of racing here at Lime Rock, Tom.
Indeed, and we mentioned it. It will be a pit stop race, so a mandatory pit stop in this one. A 40-minute race indeed, but featuring that mandatory pit stop. 10 minutes into the race, the pit window will open unless Charlie Kimball, our race director, decides to delay things for drama on the racetrack. The drivers will then have a few laps to decide when to pit, whether to try the undercut or the overcut. So we're just about to complete our first of the 2 pace laps here. We'll take you through the grid for this one. And again, for this weekend, a bit of a diminished field in the Radical Cup. A bit odd to see, but the caliber of the field is certainly impressive. Off the back row of the grid, it's Nico Balkazoon, the young gun. He was 13 at Road Atlanta. He is now 14 here at Lime Rock Park, and he has been doing very well in Pro 1340. Chris Hoon starts from 8th on the grid. Alongside him, Valen Venkatesh did make it to this one. In fact, Cameron Racing, Radical Northwest, putting a lot of NASCAR-style tape on the front of that machine to get him going. Josh Holtz will start from 6 on the grid, and Holtz has been working his way up through the field this weekend. Jack Yang starts 5th. He, of course, won race 1 here. And Sam McDougall finds himself 2nd row of the grid. Impressive pace for Sam. Looked a lot cleaner in the car in race 2. We'll see how race 3 unfolds. Luke Kendall starts from 3rd on the grid. 2nd quickest in Pro 1500. And then from the front row, it's Robert Rossi, who is the poleman in the Platinum class. 2nd in terms of the grid. And Jonas Axbo was actually fastest in race 2. Impressive performance for the young gun in Pro 1500, our current points leader. And Mike Anzaldi, we continue to say it off air, but it's the same on air. He has just been so impressive this year.
He's been patient. He has been focused for every weekend this year and has absolutely been the car to beat, not only in the 1500 class, but sometimes overall.
So once again, we're seeing a trend of the pole sitter bring the field around very, very slowly underneath the bridge and down the hill through the final corner. At some point, we're going to see the Tiger Beetle car take off. Expect the 611 to charge ahead. But look at Luke Kendall, as you mentioned, the 54 right on the gearbox of the 32. And we are go for a green here at Lime Rock. And immediately and unsurprisingly, the 611 machine of Robert Rossi goes into the lead. But the big race will be behind. And look at this. Luke Kendall charges along, or tries to charge alongside Jonas Axbo, who does get a good start, converts the pole into the lead in his class.
And Josh Holtz, that is a move on Jack Yang.
Chris Hoon trying to round the outside, doesn't quite make it stick. Jack Yang getting balked and has been relegated, as has Valen Venkatesh, who's now behind Chris Hoon. So Sam McDougall sits 3rd in class, converts a good start for him. And we'll wait and see how this one unfolds. Of course, 40 minutes of racing with a pit stop.
Go on board Luke Kendall, and he is looking for his first Radical Cup win in the North America Series. And he is chasing mightily Jonas Axbo down the Sam Posey Straight.
So these cars definitely pick up a bit of a slipstream effect, but You can see under the brakes now, it looks to me like Luke Kendall's found a bit more courage down into turn one. That's where we've seen so much pace from Jonas Axbo. Axbo now feels the effects of having that Platinum class car ahead of him. Again, like we've seen all weekend long, Robert Rossi in command of the motor race, but not making life easy for the leader in Pro 1500.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that from the onboard of Kendall, but it looked like Rossi's car up in front, up toward turn 3, was a little bit loose, and that's where he's been struggling this afternoon and this weekend for sure. So we'll watch that in Rossi. He's usually really quick in the second and third sectors, and you can see him build that gap between himself and Axbo behind.
We saw a couple of classy moves by Jonas Axbo in this morning's race. The first one was to get around Kendall. The second one was to get around Robert Rossi. And in the end, Robert Rossi having a moment as he fell back through the pack of 1500s. Again, the driver's relatively tight. And Jonas Axbo, you can see, closes in on the back of the 611 machine. They're leading their respective classes. In theory, there is no reason for them to fight. But for Jonas Axbo, he would love to put a pawn in between himself and his next rival in Luke Kendall.
We'll be watching Sam McDougall as well, who's had a nice start to this race. Hasn't had the results that they had been hoping for, but indeed, it looks like he is looking at the back of Kendall and really impressed with Sam McDougall this weekend.
Sam McDougall has looked stronger and stronger, as you mentioned, during this weekend. Has a little bit of a moment just on the apex of turn 1. That continues around turn 2, but he is closing in on the back of Luke Kendall. And it's very, very easy to lose a little bit of momentum around this flowing circuit. And we've seen that as well into this next sector, the chicane at the uphill, where earlier on today, Luke Kendall had a look at Jonas Axbo and then lost about 7 car lengths on the exit.
Yeah, we had spoken about that patience that you need around Lime Rock Park, and it was obvious in that race number 2 this morning. Luke got kind of caught his car in front. That was Rossi at the wrong time, and it allowed Axbo to get through. But nothing doing quite like that this time. Everybody comfortably gapped between each other, and right now nobody looking at any position change, at least on this tour around this tight racetrack.
The flames belching out the back of Sam McDougall's SR3 1500. Around about 230 horsepower out of these machines. The car out in front, 425 brake horsepower out of that SR10 Ford EcoBoost power plant. But the car is very, very different in terms of their dynamics. The SR10 much faster down the straightaway, has unlimited torque, effectively about 380 foot-pounds of torque in a very lightweight motor car, whereas the SR3's corner quicker with a lower mass and a very, very balanced car at that. So, as they come around again, Sam McDougall honing in on the back of Luke Kendall. Sam's opportunity to take second place in Radical Cup has certainly also been a standout of this year, I'd say, Mike. Sam very, very quick in the wet at Road Atlanta, was unlucky. Came unstuck, but it was more the conditions than anything that the driver could do.
Yeah, and I had to deal with Sam at Road America, where they were also very, very quick at that racetrack. We went side by side all the way through the carousel, through the kink, down to Canada when we were racing at Road America. Very respectful driver, Sam McDougall, and getting faster. And so he'll continue to size up Kendall in front of him. But we talked about this earlier. This is a racetrack of patience. you can't really force anything around here. You mentioned it earlier, how a little tiny mistake can cause a big problem. But on the other side, if you do have a tiny mistake, it's not like there's anything you can do to grab that back in an appreciable way. So
you can't make it up. You can't make it up
difficult.
sort of halfway around the circuit like you could at a Sebring or a Road America.
For sure.
Maybe have a moment in one corner and just claw a couple of tenths back, or at least the lap time averages out. It's not the case around here, and you can see that at the moment. All the cars just edging away from each other. Certainly a few drivers keeping each other honest. We mentioned Sam McDougall keeping Luke Kendall very much honest. Kendall hasn't fallen away too much from Jonas Axbo. Robert Rossi is the fastest man on the circuit at the moment. He's running sub 53 seconds. Everyone else in the 53s. Now the SR10s, it should be said, also get an extra set of Hankook rubber. Over the weekend, the SR3s are relegated to 2 sets of Hankooks from qualifying. So the hot conditions, very hot and humid conditions here at Lime Rock have been pretty grueling on driver, car, no doubt tyre as well. And I just wonder whether we're seeing the times fall off a little bit this afternoon as all of that takes effect.
Particularly the front tire situation on the SR10s we've been watching. Rossi's been complaining about it a little bit. So he's really the fella that we're going to watch in this race, because when he decides to back off of his pace, that is when Axbo and Kendall and indeed Sam McDougall will have a look at each other.
And almost just as you said that, Axbo's starting to look rather racy on Robert Rossi now. So Axbo just went past, certainly with a reasonable lap time. He's starting to get the sectors in. He was 0.5 of a second quicker than Robert Rossi in Sector 1.
Man, the gap got closed under the brakes at 5 in a big way. And even as they kind of make their way through West Bend, same deal. Axbo closes in.
At the end of the first sector, the gap was literally 0.2. It's now out to 0.9 as they cross the line in the second sector. At the line, it's also 0.9. But again, look at this, closing in through the big sweeping turn, big bend. Then the left-hander, aptly named, as Axbo runs a little bit wide and gets right underneath the gearbox. They almost touch.
Did Axbo have to lift there? And that, if he did, that will certainly help things out for Luke Kendall. And that seems to be the story of the SR3s versus the SR10s.
Yeah, look at this. They look to be closing in. All of a sudden, the battle for the lead is turning into a 4-way fight. So Luke Kendall, Sam McDougall capitalizing on the fact that Jonas Axbo is effectively being held up by Robert Rossi. And I fear that if Axbo was released by Rossi, this would be a one-horse race. But right now, things are shaping up for some excitement as we start to approach the pit window.
Talked to Rossi after race number 2, and it was a very similar situation. If you happen to watch that race, Rossi leading these 3 guys throughout that race and had a difficult time deciding where to pull over. And so that was a bit of drama in the second race.
Great shots here from riding on board with the Valor racing car, Luke Kendall. As we come through the chicane, you can see those big bollards on the inside of each of the apex curbs. You can't afford to hit one of those. In fact, that's what Valan Venkatesh first hit before his wild ride. Just before on screen, we went under the bridge and through West Bend. And that's where Valan Venkatesh took some air in this morning's race. Venkatesh still working his way around the racetrack, sits in 8th position, but salvaging a significant amount of points. That will be crucial for him in the championship. Luke Kendall with a fair bit of lock around the left-hander, fighting the car just ever so slightly in turn 4 before a big moment on the brakes into the chicane, and he seems to be closing in ever so slightly onto the back of Jonas Axbo, who gets a fantastic launch out of the chicane.
And it's a smooth onboard Luke right now. He's looking pretty comfortable, and pretty calm on the wheel, but he does trail Expo by a second and a half.
So heading down into turn 1, this long radius, 2 corners connected together. It's important to find the line through here, not give up too much momentum as you negotiate the only left-hander.
The run left-hander is so tough. That turn 3.
Doesn't it feel it feels bizarre.
It kind of comes out of, it's almost like it comes out of nowhere. It
just feels horrible. It almost feels off camber or something. There's no grip. The car's typically not really set up for the left-hander. It's amazing how nasty that corner really feels.
It really is. And you can see how the SR3 gets under the SR10 right there. So definitely some forces going on there.
Yeah, the new SR10, with all the development that's been done on that car, has a tremendous amount of downforce on the front end, but it still has a bit of inherent push. So around a circuit like this, that's where that comes into play. And it's right now that we'll start to see again Robert Rossi having a mirror full of Jonas Axpo, this time not quite as close. But you can see, even out of turn 4, Axpo gets a little jump on Rossi before the horsepower and the torque kicks in.
Now, it's a little tap of the brakes for Rossi. It might just be a breathe on the throttle for Axpo, and that's why you see such a dramatic change.
It's amazing also the amount of road speed that Axpo is carrying in and through the chicane.
Yeah, it's
impressive. Rossi's almost being a little bit more conservative through there. I do think the car is capable of going faster, but it's just working with what he's got, keeping it clean, understanding that for him, like for many of these drivers, it's not just about this motor race. This is an 18-race championship. There's 3 to go in just about a month's time at COTA when Radical Cup supports the World Endurance Championship. That's going to be a huge event. There's no point in firing off into the scenery, but you can see, regardless of what might be at stake, and these are 2 championship leaders in terms of the classes, you could see that Jonas Axpo is not giving in. He is not cruising around. The front of that car is losing downforce, and he had a little bit of a moment there as he tucked up underneath the rear diffuser of the SR10 ahead.
As much as Kendall wants to get his first win straight up against Axpo in the Radical Cup, Axpo does not want to give that up. He doesn't want to be beat on track by Luke Kendall, so absolutely 100%.
Well, the other thing that Axpo is probably going for is our former champion's record. And, of course, he's here this weekend, Raiden Nicole, in the paddock. And Nicole probably cheering on Luke Kendall at the moment because Jonas Axpo could beat Raiden's record of number of wins in a season.
And also lap time around here. I think last year Nickel was able to put down a 51.3-ish. We haven't seen lap times quite that quick. A 51.9, I think, is what we got out of Rossi earlier, and maybe Axpo as well. And so still well clear of the Radical track record here at Lime Rock Park with the chicane.
A few different bragging rights up for grabs.
Yes, sir. A little further back in the field, I like that Chris Hoon is starting to look at the back of Yang.
Yeah, and again, Axpo very, very tight. They're side by side, in fact. Axpo to the outside, Robert Rossi to the inside as they head down into the chicane. Again, the torque take cares of that. But Axpo, all of a sudden looking racy and giving Luke Kendall the opportunity. And we're riding on board just momentarily with Luke Kendall, who looks to the inside but can't quite do it. Has another think, has the momentum on his side but has to back out of it as they head into West Bend.
And with an awful line, he didn't have a good line in there. That's the patience that we were talking about with Kendall. Let's see if he can not let this opportunity go.
Axpo immediately into the pits. The pit window has opened. Cameron Racing calling him in. Now, I think what they're trying to do is get the undercut. Effectively, Axpo is going to have fresh air, hopefully, when he comes out. That's the plan. We'll see how it unfolds. A very, very short pit straight. Of course, a very short racetrack as well. So Axpo's away, and just a momentary stop and he's through back out onto the racetrack in fresh air.
But the man that we're watching, we are going to be hoping for a fastest lap out of Kendall. He absolutely needs to put in a couple of crackers right now before his pit stop.
Well, and how much of a gap has he got behind Robert Rossi? That'll be the trick. Really, they can't afford to be running in second place if Kendall has fresh air. So this has worked out absolutely perfectly for the 54 Valor Racing Machine as Robert Rossi comes into the pits. Sam McDougall's also in.
And quite a bit of the rest of the field. So we're looking at Josh Holtz into the pits. We are looking at Chris Hoon into the pits. So Luke Kendall right now, basically the only guy circulating within couple sectors, really.
So this is effectively a rather long pit window. Jonas Axbo circulating in fresh air. Luke Kendall too. What are the lap times like? Sam McDougall had a purple sector in Sector 1 last time through. Chris Hoon just did the fastest lap of the race, a 52.9. So Hoon finding plenty of pace.
Axbo had two really fast second and third sectors on that last lap, so Jonas knows exactly what he needs to do.
And my apologies, it was Robert Rossi with a 52.9. It was Hoon with a 53.1. He is running as quick as Luke Kendall and Jonas Axbo. They are matching each other in terms of lap times, Mike Anzaldi. Luke Kendall, a 53.15 last time by. Jonas Axbo, a 53.11.
I like to stay out there as a driver. I like to go deep into the pit window. Luke is doing that right now. I love this strategy. Open track, settle in, put down your fast laps, kid.
Now, ironically, Axbo might have a moment or a problem in a moment because right behind him on the racetrack is Robert Rossi, who's going to be charging down those straightaways. And depending on how much Robert Rossi is going to be aggressive, he could come into play in terms of how this will spill out through the pit stops.
Luke staying out for another lap. Valen Venkatesh into the pits with a couple of repairs. Nice to see him back out. And again, a big round of applause for the Cameron boys. Put that car back together, get it out for race 3.
So Jonas Axbo, a couple of tenths quicker in Sector 1, a couple of tenths quicker in Sector 2. Axbo doing the work that he needs to come out in front. He has passed Robert Rossi on the racetrack and certainly through the round of pit stops. So we know Axbo has eclipsed the 611. Kendall, obviously yet to pit, is still shown in the lead.
A little further back, Nico Balkasoon comes into the pits, and here comes Kendall into pit lane, and let's see how the team does getting him out and back on track. We'll be watching for Axbo.
Patience is going to be key here as well. Kendall can't afford to jump early, and it's going to be tense moments for Valor Racing. They're going to see the leader come down the front straight away, and that is Jonas Axbo. And Kendall is coming out, but he's been passed in the pit lane. So Axbo comes out in front. It's Robert Rossi and Kendall slots into third place outright, second in class.
Yeah, so it basically comes out exactly how we started it, with the exception of swapping Rossi and Axbo.
But I think crucially, it's worked out beautifully, that undercut from Jonas Axbo, by pitting immediately. He had fresh air, laid down the lap times, and that's what's allowed him to leapfrog Robert Rossi and put a sizable gap on his rival for the championship, and really the guy who's been giving it to Jonas Axbo more than anyone else, and that's Luke Kendall. So Kendall relegated to second in class, and to be honest, I think he might have to deal with the fact that he's going to be coming home with another second place trophy.
Axbo just looks so impressive out there. I don't know if we have said enough about this kid from Utah. I mean, he's just doing everything right. Nailed that pit stop perfectly. Really got those the in and the out laps spot on. And look at the lead this guy's got.
Sam McDougall sits behind Luke Kendall. So the pit stops worked rather well. Josh Holtz has rocketed up through the round of pit stops too. Josh Holtz sits ahead of Jack Yang at the moment.
Venkatesh does make it back out on track, but he did need repairs, and so let's call him 1 lap down at the moment.
Nico Balkazoon, we haven't talked much about the young kid. He's leading Pro 1340, running up a series of wins since his debut win at Road Atlanta.
The SR10 has pulled in. Rossi is now back in pit lane for the second time.
I think it was a short stop. I think Robert Rossi is having to... Yeah, it is. He was just momentarily short, and Robert Rossi is relegated, dumped down the order, 6th position outright overall. So now that releases all of the Pro 1500 drivers. There is nothing but fresh air and their rivals between them. So Josh Holtz, we ride on board with 18 minutes remaining. Holtz sits 4th in class. Has he made a stop yet? I suspect he has.
And 4th overall, now that Rossi a little bit further back there. Rossi actually came out on track right in front of Chris Hoon. That's not going to make him happy, so we'll see how that plays out. But Rossi, of course, doesn't have any other competitors on track. He wants to bring this thing home and wants to bring home a championship, so he's working with other priorities.
Josh Holtz commenting just how tough this track is to learn. This morning, just mentioning that, you know, a lot of people perhaps don't give Lime Rock the credit where credit's due, because it's a very tricky track to master. Only a few corners, but they're crucial. And Holtz is certainly circulating in a better position than he has all weekend.
Oh, yeah, he's leading Jack Yang. He's a double podium. Jack Yang won race number 1. He was on the podium in race number 2. Right now, Holtz is leading him.
Holtz with not too much real-world racing experience, more experience behind the sim, and certainly showing that you can translate all of the virtual experience into the real world. Jonas Expo cruising like he has so many times this year. Mike Anzaldi, Expo calm, collected, and in the lead, and Kendall just unable to match the pace of Expo.
Honestly, the Pro 1500, whoever leads in Pro 1500s, whatever season it is always an impressive driver. It's always fun to watch the guys that are leading that class, because the Radical Cup attracts some nice talent. And we've had some really good racers come through. Expo is absolutely no exception to that. He is a pleasure to watch on the racetrack.
Well, I think Kendall's certainly another one to watch for the future as well. I'd say the same about McDougall. Josh Holtz. Jack Yang, we already know, has got a wealth of experience around the globe running radicals and other things. You know, Chris Hoon has come on strong, another gentleman that hasn't got too many years of racing under the belt, but is certainly impressed. He's our reigning world champion in the gold class, and at VIR last year was ultra impressive.
Yeah, he's had a nice 12 months of racing. Chris Hoon has. His wife, Noelle, always on the property, supporting her husband and supporting the Radical Cup. It's always great to see and chat with her. So, yeah, the Hoon family definitely at home in the North American Cup Series.
So now Expo has to negotiate a few back markers. He's coming up just ahead, out of shot at the moment, is Nico Balkazoon in the Pro 1340. 1340cc engine versus the 1500cc engine. And so Balkazoon getting the most out of the 1340, but it's not enough to maintain the pace over the 1500. And the leader will be hoping not to get caught up in anything silly. Multi-class racing is Radical Cup, and it's prepared a number of drivers for bigger and better things in their motor racing career. John Falb is one such driver that left the country club at Spring Mountain, went through Radical Cup ranks, went to IMSA, and then over to Lassarthe, that has raced Le Mans many times, as well as the European Le Mans Series, as Jonas Expo carefully negotiates
And that's, Tom, how you make a pass. Keep it right next to the car that you're passing.
Exactly.
Not all the way to the inside. Just keep it right there so that he can see you in the mirror. He knows what you're doing.
Yes, I have been saying that a fair bit this year, haven't I, in the drivers' briefings?
Yes.
But yeah, John Falb won, of course. George Kurtz, another driver to come through the Radical Cup ranks. One of your fellow Autobahn members, PJ Hyatt, another driver to come through Radical Cup, and of course has been racing at Le Mans and in the WeatherTech series.
His ascent in motor racing was very steep, and Radical was a big part of that for sure. Hyatt, PJ Hyatt.
In fact, there were no less than 5 alumni from the Radical Cup ranks racing at Lesarth this year. And of course, this year also marks the 20th anniversary of Radical's own participation. The first time the Radical SR9 was in the French Classic, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the SR9, a very storied motor car, got a lot of praise at the time. A beautiful LMP2 car.
The SR9 appeared on the series T-shirt at Road America, and that has since become a very valuable T-shirt. If you look on eBay, people are clamoring for the Radical Cup SR9 T-shirt. So watch out for that.
We'll have to do another run.
Local trading site.
Sorry to those folks. We're going to devalue that one straight away by doing another run. So that's all right. So Expo, with 12 minutes remaining, cruising. Luke Kendall sitting rather pretty in second. Sam McDougall not far away either. And this could be an opportunity. So perhaps if we can try and follow our second place driver, because Kendall is now approaching Nico Balkazoon. And this could be an opportunity for Sam McDougall. We've seen Kendall get stuck a couple of times behind cars and perhaps not using the momentum where one should to make the pass. Could this give Sam McDougall an opportunity? Another sim racer who's converted the virtual world into the real world at Radical Cup. So down the front straightaway goes Luke Kendall, and there's been a bit of dust and dirt kicked up, and it's our leader.
A little bit
So
wide.
Jonas Axbo wide, pushing hard. A 53 flat is his best time so far, and Axbo well in command, but not giving up anything. Pushing hard and proving to the world why he deserves a chance in motorsport.
Currently holding a 6-second lead over Luke Kendall in the 54 car. And another 3 or 4 seconds behind Kendall is the number 8 car of McDougall.
So there we saw Balkazoon and Kendall go through. Balkazoon is about, and Kendall's flashing the lights down the front straightaway. Kendall should be clear. Into turn 1 they go. And makes the pass stick. So Kendall really quite fortunate there to pick up Balkazoon on the front straightaway.
Yeah, good timing there. Balkazoon well coached. Raiden Nickel in his tent, so he knows how to let a car go. And then to tuck back in behind and watch his faster counterpart through some of these corners and see if he can learn anything, Balkazoon.
So Sam McDougall not getting the break he needed to just hone in on the back of the 54 machine. Josh Holtz continues to tour in fourth. And we ride on board with Josh Holtz, just negotiating the chicane. Looks like he'd had a bit of a moment into that one, certainly gathering it up through it. Around West Bend he goes, underneath the Toyo Tires bridge. And again, this long sweeper onto the front straightaway feels not the greatest, does it, Mike Anzaldi? You sort of almost feel like you're going to run out of room and road each lap.
No, and in fact, I was talking to Mike D'Ambrose yesterday, who didn't really have any practice time in the car. The race was the first time he got in the car. He did not know what was going on in that corner. Didn't know whether you could take it flat or not, and definitely had to deal with some early race stress trying to figure out how to make it through that last corner here at Lime Rock.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar in a way to turn 12 at Road Atlanta, where you come down the hill and just the way the car's loaded up, it just feels awkward to begin with. You do have plenty of grip down there, but you get a full sense of really not having as much grip as you do.
Yeah, agreed. The Radical's happy down there. It's not a problem. It just doesn't feel great as a driver, does it?
But that's the beauty of a downforce car. I think that's the fun. You know, so many drivers never get the chance to drive anything with proper downforce. The Radical has a tremendous amount. And once you realize that you can grit your teeth and go much, much faster than what your brain tells you is appropriate for survival, the thrill is like nothing else. And I really feel that once you get into a downforce car, it makes all GT cars look rather silly.
Yeah, well described. I mean, most people, they only have experience in street cars. And when you get into a downforce car, it is wildly different. Your body's never felt that. So to be behind the wheel and to just be holding on while that thing swings through corners is really a special feeling.
It's just so rewarding as well. You know, the sensation you get. You can see the data, or perhaps your competitor going through a corner another 5 mile an hour quicker than you are. And once you achieve that feat, obviously you realize that you're capable of doing it. And the thrill of continuing to push these motor cars is what makes Radical Cup racing, certainly one of the reasons it makes it so fun.
We've certainly heard those stories in Formula One where the engineers are like, yes, the car will be flat through here. And the driver's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to listen to you and then go through flat. And so, yeah, there's been some pretty funny stories about that when engineers and drivers
Yeah, and
arguing.
of course, the other thing is the data. You know, all of these cars are running data systems. So after every session, driver and engineer, driver and coach, or just driver looking back and thinking about the session, you can see the throttle trace. And it's amazing how many times you will swear black and blue that you are flat out around the corner. I did it. And then you go and look at that data. And of course, there's a big lift.
The data.
And
done in by the data.
Done in by the data. Yeah. Yeah. It's
But that is a good point, because that's how some of us learn to go faster in downforce cars, is looking at data from other people. Oh, okay, I guess the car can go 3 more mile an hour through the apex than I'm going. So let's try that.
So 6 minutes remain in this one. Jonas Expo out in command in the Tiger Beetle car. It's a place he's familiar with this season. Typically not in the outright lead, though, but certainly in the lead of the Pro 1500 class.
You know, and he's been clean all year. He's never really in the middle of any melees. He's never really causing too much trouble. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he sort of mentioned that, didn't he, that Sebring wasn't his finest hour, didn't quite have the start to the championship that he wanted to, but it seems like ever since then, the confidence has grown. Huge moment at Sonoma, which is, of course, Cameron Racing Radical Northwest home circuit, and in very, very trying conditions. In fact, it was more like submarine racing than motorcar racing out there at Sonoma. Jonas Expo just did what he tends to always do, which is just keep it inside the limit at all times, and came away with a tremendous points haul, wins on the board, and that kind of set the ball rolling, and he kept gaining the momentum at Road America. Of course, Jack Yang had a win there, but it's just been one race after another, and success has followed.
Speaking of Sonoma, did you hang your sneakers in your Hall of Fame? Because the water was up to your ankles, I'm pretty sure, in pit lane.
Yeah, I think doing the grid walk wasn't the greatest idea.
Oh, it was great. No, it was great,
at
man.
Sonoma. Certainly the cameraman was questioning my sanity after that one.
Yeah.
But I have been really impressed by the drivers. You know, every year we get about 75 unique drivers through Radical Cup competition. And every year it seems like the level of competition continues to elevate. And it's very rewarding as being someone that's been behind this championship for a number of years to see the growth and in terms of that competitive nature, the fact that we are breeding young talent, we are breeding old talent as well, and having people rise through the ranks of motorsport because of Radical Racing, I think has got to be one of the most rewarding parts of my job, knowing that we've had a small role in the careers of so many young guns and gentlemen drivers.
Really is a credit to the folks back at the factory as well. We're building a car that is affordable to race and drive in a major series anywhere in the world. What do we have? How many? 15 now Radical Cups around the world?
Championships, indeed.
I mean, it's championships all over the world. And the fact that this spec car is such a big deal is really a hats off to the boys and girls back at Peterborough. And so thanks to them always. I hope that they're watching. Probably many of them are. But
so we've got a car stationary. That's Josh Holtz stationary on the racetrack. That's not the greatest position either. So that's just at the uphill. And the yellow flags, I fear, are being prepared. Certainly Josh Holtz probably trying to refire the number 7 Crown Concepts car. It doesn't look like there's any damage on that car, but it's not going anywhere. And this one might end under a safety car. Certainly race control allowing Josh Holtz, who's not on the racing line, it should be said, to try and refire this machine. The yellow flag will be out, indicating that there is drama on the racetrack in that sector, and you can see the buttons being pushed, but Josh Holtz not having much luck refiring the Radical.
And as a driver, I think this is appropriate. There's no need for a full course caution right now. Josh is in a relatively safe position. He's made himself off to the right side.
Of course, the curse of the commentator. We've just gone full course caution.
Ah, darn.
But now, 2 minutes remain. Could we get this thing cleared?
I don't see how.
That's the question. No, I don't know if this is possible either. It would be lovely to have a
safety
green and white
out.
checker, wouldn't it?
Safety car's out. We'll likely let Chris Hoon buy the safety car. He went a little bit early there, and he'll pick up Axpo, the safety car will. And yeah, like you said, Tom, this is probably going to do it here for race number 3.
It's a short lap, but there's only 1 minute and 55. At the end of the day, Josh Holtz wasn't going anywhere, and safety always important. It's been a fun weekend here at Lime Rock. We've been enjoying the local restaurants. Number of drivers really enjoying the bed and breakfasts and the Airbnbs and things around the place. It's a beautiful part of the world up here in Connecticut, and certainly we have had fun, and with only a few cars compared to what we usually have in this championship, I think the show has been not too bad in terms of the racing. It'll be a different story at COTA. Already it looks like we're going to have 30 plus cars on the grid, and a safety car just passing Josh Holtz. So Jonas Axpo gets a little bit of an early reprieve. He was absolutely flying. The best lap of his race, a 53 flat. That was only a few hundredths of a second slower, or thousandths of a second slower than Robert Rossi in the SR10. And Luke Kendall again on the podium here at Lime Rock. Sam McDougall makes his way up to the podium, and a solid result for Sam and Group A Racing. So the checker flag flies with the McLaren safety car in front, and it's the Tiger Beetle 32 of Jonas Axpo who takes the outright win. From Valor Racing's Luke Kendall, Sam McDougall for Radical New York in third, Jack Yang just off the podium in fourth. Robert Rossi is classified fifth in the Platinum class car. He'll take the win in that class. Chris Hoon, the winner in gold. Nico Balkazoon, the winner in Pro 1340. Valen Venkatesh, fifth place and Josh Holtz classified 6th in Pro 1500.
Shout out to Chris Hoon, third fastest lap time of race number 3. The gold class driver really getting it done here. Congrats to you, Chris.
So, Mike and Saudi, as we wrap up this weekend, let's wind forward in time a little bit, because up next is COTA, and you're back behind the wheel.
I am indeed. The Rhino Racing team, along with myself and Dermot Ennis, we're hoping to get Dave Tweedley out to COTA, and our rig will be out there. We will get back on the racetrack. I'll miss you up in the booth, but I will absolutely be thrilled to be on the racetrack at the WEC weekend at COTA.
Yeah, it should be exciting stuff, shouldn't it? Of course, 4 classes of racing. We expect big grids in each of those classes and championships along the line on the line as well. It's fair to say that Jonas Axpo has put himself in perfect position, as has Robert Rossi, Chris Hoon. The big question will really be over 1340, I think. Nico Balkazoon's clawed his way onto the back of Mike D'Ambrose. D'Ambrose didn't take part in this race. We mentioned earlier in the weekend that he was off to a wedding. So the gap has closed to around about 30 points after this one. That's more than doable for Nico Balkazoon. And with more cars in the class, this could be an interesting battle for 1340.
I was going to say the same thing. There's not going to be 2 1340s at COTA. There's going to be several of them there, and so that could be a factor in that championship.
Well, again, we'll take you through the winners today, and it's Jonas Axpo outright and in Pro 1500, Robert Rossi in the Platinum class, Chris Hoon in gold, and Nico Balkazoon adding another win to his trophy cabinet in the Pro 1340. That is Radical Cup North America from Lime Rock Park. Thank you very much, Connecticut. It's been a pleasure as always, and we hope to see you soon. Hopefully, we'll see all of you, whether it's on the live stream or in person, at Circuit of the Americas for the final round of the Radical Cup North America Series in just a month's time.